Everyone, happy Wednesday hump day. I thought I would get on here for a little bit to just tell you some news with the channel. I just got accepted into the YouTube Partner Program, so I'm pretty excited about that. And I've been getting a lot of questions from you guys, so I thought I would go over some of them. Let's see. So the first question was, subscriber was wondering what are kind of the different jobs at an auto parts store because they are interested, I guess, applying at their local one. So now I can only speak to the company that I work for, but typically there's 4 or 5 positions. You have drivers, cashiers, salespersons. You'll have shift managers, and then there'll be a general manager of the store. There's also, depending on the store, they'll have a B2B commercial salesperson there to handle selling and communicating with shops when they need parts. So those are generally the 5 jobs. Now, the driver, that's pretty simple. What they do is they take parts from the store and they deliver them to auto repair shops. That's typically a part-time position. I've found that usually older guys who are near retirement are doing that driver job just to have something to do. Now it can really vary. It's usually either a very young kid, that's their first job, and they have a clean driving record, or it's somebody much older and they're almost retired. Doesn't seem like there's any usually in between for the driver positions. Cashiers, salespeople, that can range, somebody pretty young, part-time, someone working part-time, older mechanic that got out of the business. It's becoming a little more rare though, because the jobs really don't pay very well. So yeah, then the shift manager, they are there to handle any kind of warranty claims, any issues. Like if somebody brings in a return, they have to approve the return and make sure that that part is exchangeable or returnable. Because sometimes it's not. People will try and a guy tried to return a used oil filter the other day, and I was like, yeah, dude, I'm not even gonna call it. I'm not even gonna call the GM about that. That's just not gonna happen. So yeah, and then the general manager, they are essentially, yeah, the general manager of the store. So they handle all the bookkeeping, scheduling. If there's any higher level issues with the store, that's something that they handle. They're responsible for hiring and firing people and all that. It's a fairly big responsibility. And there is somebody at the store that's currently in our GTM, so general manager in training program, I believe. And she's she's great. She's great. She knows a lot of processes about systems. I don't think she's too knowledgeable about actually like auto parts, but she has learned a lot working there. So she's great to work with. Don't have any complaints. I know some of you guys have made some rather derogatory comments about women working in the auto parts industry, and honestly, I really don't agree with any of that. If you have the drive and interest to work in an auto parts store, I don't really care what your color or gender is. So that's my personal opinion, but you're welcome to comment as long as it's not anything too derogatory. So, okay, next question. Yeah, so the other question this person had was, yeah, they're wondering what would be the best way to get hired. So my recommendation is just, yeah, apply, see what happens, and then if you don't hear anything back, I would maybe try and stop in and ask. Typically, how most of these retail auto parts stores work is that they'll advertise positions even if they're not available. Because if somebody leaves immediately or something, they want to be able to come in and have people interview. And that's not just these retail auto parts chains, it's huge corporations and in retail do this all the time. They'll keep postings up and, just try and always be getting applications. So if you're not hearing back, that's probably why. But if in the interview, obviously, this is kind of just basic, but yeah, come in well dressed, well groomed. If they ask you why you want to work there, have a good answer. Say, yeah, I don't know much about cars. If you do know about cars, say, yeah, I have an auto tech background and I'd like to work here part time or full time. And that's something they will take into consideration. They like to hire people that are interested in cars because that helps. That definitely helps. That isn't always the case. For some people, it's just a job because it's close to their house or something. Like most of the people at my store, most of the drivers, they're in a walking distance, which is really convenient for them. So, yeah. Okay, let's check out some other questions on the channel. Some of you guys had some interesting comments, I'd say, on the channel that blew up the channel. Oh, here's a question. Somebody was wondering what my background was in the auto industry. So I have worked as sort of like an entry-level to mid-level auto tech. I have a bit of a diesel tech background since I did a program for that. Kind of what happened, and I'm not going to read their whole question, but they wrote a thing. And what happened is I did this diesel tech program, and when I went to get out of it, what I was told is that people always need diesel techs. We always need auto techs. Now, this was a number of years ago. When I got out of school, a lot of the shops basically said they wanted guys that had maybe like, well, one shop was like, we want someone with $8,000 or $10,000 worth of tools. And a lot of the other shops said, hey, we want someone with 5 years of experience. You hear that not just in the auto industry, you hear that in lots of industries, like 5 years minimum experience for anything. So I was getting a lot of pushback where they just wanted guys with 5 years of experience. And so I found like a few jobs which were okay, but in general, trying to get training and support as an entry-level auto tech back then was really hard. I'd imagine it's a little easier now that shops are absolutely begging for technicians. I mean, it seems like every shop that I've delivered parts to or talk with at the store, they always ask if I know any automotive techs that are interested in working for them. And I'm like, usually like, no, like that guy, most of the guys I know either got out of the business, the guys that are still in, they're in fleet maintenance, which is, if you know anything, fleet maintenance is a much easier way to be in the auto industry because it's a bit of a slower pace. You still have cars that come in that need to get fixed, but if something needs to get fixed, you just do the job and there's no essentially retail customers. It's all essentially fleet maintenance. So that could be for, the postal service, UPS, all their trucks need to be serviced. I'm trying to think, yeah, FedEx, Amazon, all those trucks. You probably wouldn't work directly for Amazon, but yeah, doing fleet maintenance is better, or working for like like one of my friends works for DC Metro, and he really likes that because they have good benefits and stuff. But anyway, that's kind of the background that I have. And then I got into the marketing industry because I started creating content online. This is a while ago. I started building my own websites. They were affiliate websites. And affiliate marketing is that if you click a link and you buy something, the owner of that site or that link will get essentially an attribution and a little bit of a commission when you buy something. Now, for Amazon, it used to be a lot higher. Now I think they're really low, but I used to earn quite a bit of money once I figured out how to do search engine optimization and that type of stuff and do content marketing. Now that game's a lot harder with Google updates. So, but yeah, so that's a good question. Let's see. Some people like wrote in questions, and some of this stuff I just don't want to answer. But I would be interested to know. My question for you guys is: somebody said, "Why don't you show your face in the videos?" And I said, "Well, I do that actually for the lives. I don't have a problem with it, but I've done a lot of testing of, okay, like showing my face, just reading articles, talking like this, and uploading the videos. And it seems like the voiceover with visuals, and I've tested this on some other channels, that does way, way better than me just sitting here talking. I don't know, maybe you guys love my beautiful face too much or something. It's just, but if you're watching this and you're interested in, making YouTube a thing, I would say just test different video styles, see what works for you, see what doesn't work for you. If somebody says do it this way and it doesn't work for you, try something else. Don't be, always test and see what works for you with YouTube. Don't listen to the gurus or whatever. So let's see. Oh, somebody asked why our batteries are so expensive, and I don't think that was a serious question. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I mean, basically batteries are a huge revenue source for auto parts stores. If you need a battery that day and we have it in stock, you're probably going to get installed because we test, charge, and install batteries for free. And yeah, it's a huge revenue generator for the stores. We typically sell at least one or two per day. Very few days I don't see that sold. This person asked, what's the biggest seller in the auto parts store that you did not expect? That's a good question. So the biggest seller in the auto parts store that I did not expect would probably be the air freshener. Literally, there is not one time that I'm working over there that I don't see people buying air freshener. Now, usually they'll be buying some motor oil or like trans fluid or something like that and air freshener. There are people that come in and they literally just buy air freshener. If you look at how auto parts stores, the design and layout of them, they're very well thought out. They're not just, oh, this is how it's done. The air freshener and the car detailing stuff is in the front of the store for a very specific reason. And the reason is because they want that stuff there for working on, for selling, sorry, not working. Because most people don't really care how their car runs. They just care if it looks good and if it smells nice in the inside. So, but that was something I didn't expect, how big an air freshener sells, because before I started working at the store, like I never really bought air freshener. I will buy it if it's on clearance once in a while to use like with a coupon that I have with the store. But yeah, it's crazy how much that air freshener sells. I think it's more crazy to me though that people seem to care more about how their car looks than how it runs, which I guess is understandable since most people don't know much about auto parts or anything. Now, one thing that I've seen a lot of people say is, cars are too complicated to fix now, and I actually disagree with that in these comments. What I will say is that, yeah, it's more complicated now because if there's some sort of electrical or electronic issue, you may need to take it to a dealer or somebody that has specific software for that manufacturer. But in terms of like fixing things like brake pads, rotors, replacing those, suspension parts, that all still can be done DIY. There's tons of CB axles, things like that, hubs. Those can all be done by a regular independent like corner gas station mechanic. You don't need to go to a dealer for that. And I'm not sure where this misconception is coming from. There's still lots of things that people can fix themselves, and you don't need to go to a dealership. You don't need to have advanced scanning software. Now, like I said, if there's some sort of electronic issue, then yeah, there may be something that is not really easily fixable or figure outable by yourself. So, but no, some people here commented that yeah, in terms of like the pay, I've noticed a lot of people commenting on this channel. They seem to be like boomers or stuff. And well, this video on I'll link it to in the chat. But this video that blew up my channel, why auto parts are stealing. You agree? Now, I see a lot of you say like, oh, there's these punk kids that work at the store and they don't know anything. And it's like, yeah, the pay at these stores is not very good. So if you're thinking that they're going to get guys like me that are always going to be working there, the reality is they're not. I mean, the commercial sales guy, he came from like Goodyear or NTB or one of those like chain places. He had only been there 2 years, and he has some decent knowledge about parts, but I'm not sure if he is looking for another job. He might have mentioned that to me. I mean, a lot of the guys that have essentially good mechanical or auto industry experience, a lot of times the people at the company that I've talked with all say the same thing, which is like, it's a good company for work for, and I don't have any complaints, but the reality is they just don't pay enough. And it seems like a lot of you guys who are leaving comments just do not understand that at all. Okay, let me look through my email, see if there's any other questions. California. So I'm going to ask why Advanced Auto Parts is only closing on the West Coast. Now, I don't necessarily have their financial numbers in front of me, but it's a good question. But they are essentially losing money on the West Coast, and I guess it's too expensive to operate their warehouses and market hubs and do all the supply. So they're just completely exiting the market. They're going to let AutoZone, the O'Reillys of the world, dominate that. And I think long term, that's not a good plan for Advanced Auto, but we'll see what they do. Obviously, Napa is still a big one. To my understanding, from what I've seen from some of the comments and people that have written in, there's still a lot of like independent warehouses, which are in Southern California, for parts for different specialty cars. So I guess those will do fine because it's such a big car culture. But yeah, if you're also in the Southern California, like Los Angeles area, and you're dealing with the wildfires, my heart goes out to you. I know some people that had to evacuate. Scary. Their houses luckily did not burn down, but just precaution, they had to evacuate. So hope you guys are fine. Yeah, just some of the comments or emails that have gone where it's like people are saying, well, this is how it was in the 40 years ago. It's like, okay, well, it's 2025 and it's not how it is like it used to be. This is how it is now. Yeah. I guess a question I'd have is I've read that a lot of people are saying that they order parts and they're counterfeit. And I guess I'm curious, where are you guys ordering these parts and what are they? Are they brake pads, CV axles, Denso like OEM sensors, or things like that? Because I honestly have never had an issue when I've ordered from a reputable auto parts place that the part was counterfeit. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen or couldn't happen. I've definitely seen it a few times at the store when people have brought in a part, not from us. But I have seen it, been like, they'll say this is where we got it. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't look genuine, but it's hard to know. If you absolutely want a genuine part, you would have to order through a dealership because they have supply. They will order direct, obviously, from the manufacturer. So you're paying a huge markup, but the advantage is that you're getting obviously a genuine part. And now if you're getting like an ECM or something like that, you have to get that through a dealership. It's not something that we sell easily. So that's unfortunate. And then I guess I have talked with people and they said they've gone with a junkyard to get like an ECM, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. Somebody said like, why does these retail stores hire people that don't know anything? You'd have to ask corporate and management and the GMs. I think it's obviously just sometimes it's like, the person that applied that week is a lot of times, like I said, if you're closer to the store, they're more inclined to hire you. It seems like, because I've noticed a lot of times people could call out or a driver may be sick or something, and they just need somebody that's close by that they can call. And at least talking with some of the other shift managers and district manager who oversees several stores, that's typically why. But yeah, having really knowledgeable people at these stores is becoming few and far between, if I'm being honest. And yeah, if you guys know anyone in the Maryland area that's hiring for auto parts guy, or I know a service advisor, something like that, don't want to be a tech anymore, that's for sure. Should probably do another video about that. Brake rotor. Well, this is funny. I once saw on the news, later heard gossip about a guy in rural Ohio who needed a brake rotor. He called the parts store and said they had one, so the guy drove 40 miles through bad winter weather to the store, but turned out they had a distributor, not a brake rotor. What the guy had plainly stated he wanted, and all they could say was too bad. So to get even, he got a long rope, wrapped it around two display shelf aisles full of cans of oil, and all things automotive, tied the rope to the bumper of his car, took off in a massive yank, and wiped out the whole storefront and all. He went to jail. This was on TV. That's pretty funny. I'll have to go look up if that's a true story. If that's a true story, that is pretty funny. But here's a good question. Somebody asked what I would buy at the auto parts store. I think the brake pads and rotors that we have are actually pretty decent quality. Are they overpriced? Yes, they are. But if you need them the same day, I do get a 20% discount. It used to be 40%. But yeah, I could buy them at a 40% discount, the pads and rotors. I would probably just buy them at the store because I can go back and if there's any issues. Generally, we don't see any issues with the brake pads and rotors. Things that I would not buy would probably be any of our aftermarket sensors. I see a lot of complaints and had to warranty a lot of those. Unfortunately, if you're buying a sensor, you should go OEM. So for Japanese, that means Denso. For like Ford, that'd be, I think, AC Delco, Motorcraft, and GM. What would GM be? Yeah, we mainly style cars are Japanese, and actually, that was another question that, let me see. It wasn't really a question, more like a, yeah. So somebody said every time they go in there for a call or for my BMW, they never have the parts. If you have a German car, reality is European cars, we don't really stock anything. So German and British cars, we don't stock parts for those because I think they must have data that most of those people don't work on their own cars typically. And typically, if you have a BMW and you are working on your own car, you're probably getting those parts either from Rock Auto or there's a good company called FCP Euro for VWs and BMWs that I know some guys that work on German cars use. So anyway, bottom line, I worked at a large Napa store many years ago. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, most of the comments or questions I've gotten, I mean, they're really just kind of complaints about the auto parts retail store industry. And some of them I understand, but some of them are really just, like I said, guys, the pay is really not there. So oh, I get bad service and I have to wait. I'm like, they try and run these stores as lean as possible with as few employees as possible. Now, oftentimes, most of the day, that's actually not a bad thing. We don't need that many people there because there's not that many people coming in the store. But usually there's like 2 to 3 hour periods, which can be very busy, and we're getting a lot of calls or a lot of people are coming in. It's usually all at the same time. I used to work as a bartender a long time ago, and remember, the restaurant had 2 speeds, and retail has 2 speeds. Either it's dead or there's everybody here. So, yeah, that's Somebody asked where I order my own parts. Honestly, I order them a lot on Rock Auto and Amazon. Sometimes I'll use some other third-party things like eBay if it's like a hard part. eBay is still a very popular place to order auto parts and car parts. Most people don't realize that. The commercial guy actually just ordered like a lift kit for his Jeep or something. I'll have to check with him on that. I know he ordered it on eBay though because he showed me. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But so yeah, let's see. I'm probably gonna end this in a couple minutes. But if you guys, want to pop on, I guess I would be curious what type of content you guys would like to see in the future. I know it's hard to predict. I'm obviously we'll probably do something about why people don't want to be techs anymore, because that's pretty common on YouTube right now. The reality is that a lot of people have retired or left the industry. So from when I did that diesel tech program years ago to now, it's interesting seeing how the same shops that wouldn't hire me now they're absolutely just begging for anyone with tools to just walk in the door and a little bit of knowledge. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe they're willing to train people. My feeling is they're still not, and they have attitudes. So yeah, but that's why you see people leaving. You have bad pay with, well, specifically auto tech industry, working as an auto technician. Bad pay, no respect, and you have to put in your own tools. Usually there's not any benefits unless you're at a dealership. So yeah, I mean, that's why my friend now works for a city helping repair buses, and I think they're things like that. He actually might be in there. It's just better lifestyle. So yeah, no, a lot of people were surprised to say when I said, yeah, most of the business at our store is, I'd say 60 to 70% is on the repair shop side. And somebody asked, how is that possible? And the reason is that the warehouses, my understanding, the warehouses that used to service some of these shops, they're no longer really, they were taken over kind of by us and other retail competitors. So now if they want parts, they really have to go through the retail network. Now they have other ways to get parts. There's a company called Worldpac that has OEM parts, good OEM parts for Japanese and German vehicles. So they have different ways, or if you're a dealership or whatever. But on the whole, yeah, there's two shops that are close by us, and I'll tell you, they order brake pads and rotors all day. They order wipers and batteries from us all day because we are close by and we stock a lot of that stuff. There's another warehouse that they could call, but it's really that convenience factor for these shops. So people are kind of surprised. In terms of people walking in buying auto parts, don't see too much of that. In my last video, though, one of my last videos, I did say like what are the most common things I see. One of the common things I see is, yeah, even on the DIY, say I sell tons of brake pads. Again, air freshener, car detailing stuff, wipers if it's raining, and fluids. Even mechanics that come in and say they order parts online, which I do too, they'll say I buy all my fluids here. I see a lot of comments that Walmart is a good place to get fluids, and their batteries aren't bad. I've actually used the Everstart batteries a couple times. So, but anyway, I think I'm going to end that stream today, guys. I mean, there's more questions here, but don't want to make the stream too long. So if you guys like the live streams, like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Again, that helps me with the YouTube algorithm. If you have thoughts, shoot me an email. Always like to read comments from subscribers, which are constructive feedback. If you're derogatory or anything, I'll just probably block you. But yeah, glad to be monetized on here. Glad to be creating more content. You'll be seeing more of me. And yeah, have a great rest of your week.